Well, thank you, JANIS. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure. It's already second time for me in this conference, and I see how your conference develops. I think your introductory video and your introductory remarks a little bit amazed me, because actually I would not expect that private sector is already so far when it comes to cybersecurity, because what we sometimes get impression on the governmental side that we have to care and we have to push many things, and the private sector is very hesitant. But I was very positively surprised on that. What I will give you probably some remarks on what we're doing on governmental side and what we actually planning when it comes to cybersecurity, because Ministry of Defense in our case is leading institution for cyber issues, cybersecurity issues, both in civil and military sector. And of course, sometimes we are accused that we try to militarize cyber issues. Because we sometimes look from military perspective. But I have to say, in my experience and my perspective, both civilian and military sides are intertwined, because you have to, both because of wild use of technologies. Now you can't draw borders where you have to use purely civilian assets and where it becomes military ones, especially as it was indicated already in video. And I think those latest attacks in the United States indicated how harmful actually it can be, even when you use some innocent tools. And that is probably the biggest paradox, I would say, when it comes to cyber and IT technologies. And I sometimes draw probably similarities with nuclear weapons when it comes to military strategies, because what you actually can achieve is, from one side, you have a big development. When it comes to IT, you can achieve efficiency, you can achieve many things, but you also become very, very vulnerable. And when it comes to military planning, actually, I have to say we still plan for times of crisis that there might be cases when you have to use messengers, because you might be in situations where you simply don't have those technologies. And I think this is the biggest challenge also for you to think what happens in civilian sectors. What happens actually in your daily life if one of those technologies actually breaks? What happens in banks? What happens in many other institutions, critical infrastructure? How they will function? And I think we don't have many answers on many of those issues. And I hope you will address those things. What I can say that certainly when it comes to NATO and European Union, there has been much of progress when it comes to cyber issues. NATO has recognized in Warsaw that cyber is the fifth domain, besides traditional land, maritime, air, and space. Cyber is additional domain for warfare. And the European Union issued finally security legislation on cyberspace, which calls Network and Information Security Directive. Of course, as I said, we have to look on partnership between civilian and military sectors. And what we've been doing so far, I think we are proud of our achievements. Even our CCERT, as we call CERT-LV, is only 5 years old, but this year our CERT joined top of 19 CCERTs in Europe, and we have 300 of them in Europe, and our CERT is one of 19. the best one. Last year we adopted also security strategy, cybersecurity strategy, and implementing it. I think the biggest issue is, of course, a part of many governmental regulations. What we've been able to achieve to introduce minimal security requirements for governments and municipal IT systems. But still, I think the issue is how to deal with those issues in private sector, because that can't be regulated. That is the only things what can be done. It's your own choice. What we're doing right now, we're trying to also, let's say, legalize responsible disclosure policy and provide special regulation for so-called ethical white hackers, because I think that is a very important way also how to strengthen public-private partnership. The idea is actually to set legal frameworks for and allow basically use this responsible disclosure policy in governmental and municipal IT systems. What of course indicated in those, we had several discussions already in the government and even more among experts. And the biggest takeaway for me is that cyber is not actually traditional area where you can set traditional legislation. And that is, of course, comes from our discussion, because if you apply traditional means, traditional criminal practice, then nothing will happen, basically. And you have to think completely in different terms how to approach cyber issue. We're still in deliberations in the government, but hopefully we will be able to convince that is something that is needed, and that public sector will benefit from such improvements. What we certainly also do strengthen our public-private partnership. We have established National Guard unit, and we now where basically probably many of you participate, but and we give training for those experts from IT, and they will be also be able to assist if major incidents occur. The same, we currently working on setting up cyber youth guard. Basically, the idea is also to train children and pupils at school in cybersecurity issues, and also to prepare them to join a National Guard cyber unit. But of course, all those governmental issues is only part of that. And of course, as I said, if the private sector will not be coping with cyber issues and will not be aware of all those cyber problems facing, we probably only partially be able to achieve our goals and set up networks that can function without big vulnerabilities. And of course, we know that the biggest challenge is human factor, but we have to teach, we have to provide information, but still also you have to think how you produce your, how secure are your products, and how all those products or services have to be developed on the basis of privacy by design or security by default. If you will not be thinking and considering those issues, then of course the government will not be able to cover everything. Those are main issues, and I hope you will have productive discussions and will find new solutions for all those problems, at least few of them. I don't expect you will be able to solve them, because that is quite complicated. But let me wish you a very productive conference, and hopefully there will be a new partnership, be able to develop it among us. Thank you. Thank you very much.